I used to think trust had a face. Camille's face, to be specific. Warm brown eyes. Effortless smile. The kind of laugh that drew people in like a porch light. We met my second year at Havana, a boutique branding agency tucked into a two-story brick loft in downtown Austin. I was a senior art director. She was the shiny new junior strategist from USC. Sharp as hell, hungry, but green. I took her under my wing. Now, 4 years later, she was my best friend. We got lunch almost every day, traded playlists, knew each other's coffee orders and the ex-boyfriend trauma by heart. She always said I had a truth radar, and I believed her, until the day I realized I'd been lied to in plain sight. "You have to go for creative director," she told me one Friday, kicking off her heels as she slid into the seat across from me at Bitter Bean Cafe. "Seriously, it's yours." I sipped my coffee. "It's not open yet." "It will be," she said. "Rick's out the door in 3 weeks. He's already booking shoots in New York. You have to apply." I raised a brow. "You're not going for it?" She scoffed. "I'm strategy, babe. They'd never promote me over you. Besides," she said with a grin, "you're the artist. You're the one with the eye." It sounded like a compliment. I let it land like one. The pitch came in the next Tuesday. Syncor, a fashion tech startup with VC money and a brand identity crisis. They were launching a smart fabric capsule collection that could shift color based on temperature and movement. Science meets style. Cool concept, clunky messaging. Rick handed me the brief at 9:30 a.m. "Maya, this one's yours. I want something iconic." Camille looked up from her desk with an approving nod. Hell yeah. It was the biggest pitch of the quarter. I dove in. The next 10 days were a blur of typography, motion mock-ups, and mood boards. My apartment looked like a crime scene of color swatches and empty ramen bowls. Every slide, every slogan, every visual beat, mine. Camille checked in every other day. "Need eyes on anything?" she'd ask casually. I said sure, and we'd walk through layouts together. She was a great thought partner. Not pushy, just curious. She offered edits, most of which I ignored, but she never seemed offended. "You're the genius," she'd say with a shrug. "I'm just here to hype you up." The night before the internal review, I stayed late finalizing the transitions. Camille popped into my office with 2 lattes around 9 p.m. "You're a machine," she said, handing me one. "Caffeine overconfidence," I joked. She perched on the edge of my desk and watched as I clicked through the deck. Her eyes sparkled as I reached the last slide, a full-screen mock-up with the tagline, "Color that reacts, style that leads." She whistled. "Damn, that's good." I felt a flush of pride. "Mind if I grab the file?" she asked. "I want to reference the tone for a different deck I'm working on." "Yeah, totally," I said without thinking. "Just don't judge my file names. One's literally called version 12 final2.psd. She laughed. "Been there." I sent her the folder, went home, crashed. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom with a bounce in my step, fully expecting to present. Instead, I saw Camille at the head of the table. Laptop open, slides up. My slides. And no one blinked. No one asked why. No one even looked surprised. I sat there, heart pounding, as she smiled and clicked through the deck I'd built from scratch. Every asset, every headline, every frame. She even paused for dramatic affect where I would've. Repeated lines I'd practiced aloud. And when she ended with the mock-up and tagline, my tagline, the room burst into applause. Rick turned to her. "This is strong, really strong. This is what we lead with." Camille gave a modest shrug. Glad it landed. She didn't look at me once. Afterward in the hallway, I caught up to her. "What the hell was that?" I asked, my voice tight. She blinked innocently. "The pitch? It killed, right? You presented my deck." "Our deck," she said, like it was obvious. You sent it to me, remember? I just polished it. Camille, I said, teeth clenched, you didn't change a single word. She rolled her eyes. Maya, come on. Don't be weird about this. We're a team. You know that. I just stared at her. That was the moment the trust snapped like a dry twig. Not with a bang, just a crack. And she walked away, heels clicking, coffee in hand, like she hadn't just stolen the biggest opportunity of my career. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling fan, my mind replaying the pitch like it was a crime scene. Camille at the front of the room. My words in her mouth. The click of the remote. The way everyone nodded like she'd cracked the Da Vinci Code. Like I didn't exist. The next morning I tried to be rational. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she panicked and filled in last minute. Maybe Rick told her to. So I knocked on his door. You got a sec? I asked, voice casual. He waved me in, still glowing from that Singcore pitch. Camille knocked it out of the park, huh? I forced a smile. Yeah, she did. About that, I hesitated. Just wanted to clarify something. That deck, I'd been working on it all week. I was under the impression I'd be presenting. Rick blinked. Really? Huh. I guess I didn't realize you were that involved. Camille said you guys had brainstormed together and she pulled the visuals. Right, I said slowly. Just for the record, I developed the entire thing. She saw a late version the night before. He leaned back, eyebrows raised, clearly uncomfortable. Maya, I hear you. But Camille stepped up. She delivered, and leadership noticed. He said it like a compliment. Like I should be grateful someone else got credit for my work because they delivered it with teeth-whitening charm. Back at my desk, I stared at my computer screen, the pixels suddenly blurry. Across the office, Camille laughed with Andre from Motion Graphics like nothing happened. Like she didn't just cleave my reputation in half. I tried to focus on the client feedback document, but the only words that stood out were hers. Don't be weird about this. Later that afternoon, she tapped on my desk, smiling. You good? I looked up slowly. I'm fine. Great. So, about Friday, can you clean up the case study version of the deck? They want to use it for award submissions. My jaw clenched. Award submissions? Yeah, it's a big deal. Rick's entering it under my name for the Rising Creator shortlist. I stared at her, disbelief burning a hole in my chest. Camille. She raised her hands. Hey, I'll mention your help in my speech if we win. Promise. My help? My help? I almost laughed. Almost. But I didn't say anything. I just nodded like a good little soldier and opened the folder. That night, I went home and opened the original project file. My name was in the metadata on every slide, every layer, every timestamp. There was even a Google Doc with my notes and edit history dating back to the kickoff call. I stared at it like it might lift off the screen and save me. But I knew better. Documentation didn't matter here. Not unless I used it. The next day, I met with Mel, my one friend outside of the agency bubble. A freelance UX writer who'd been burned enough to see corporate betrayal coming before it hit. We met at a taqueria just off South Congress. I spilled the whole story between sips of horchata and bites of carnitas. She whistled. Damn, she really played you. She was my friend, I said. I trusted her. Yeah, that's how snakes work. They get close. I sighed. Even if I wanted to blow it up, no one would believe me. Mel looked at me, dead serious. You've got the receipts? I nodded. Then you've already got the fire, she said. Now you just need to decide when to strike the match. When I got home, I opened a new folder on my desktop and named it Project Sunlight. Inside, I dropped the original deck file, the metadata logs, Slack screenshots showing the timeline, calendar invites, my handwritten notes. Then I opened a blank document. At the top, I typed, "This is the true origin of the Syncor campaign for transparency, ethics, and the integrity of creative work." I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I knew I wasn't going to let this slide. Not this time. The following week was a masterclass in being invisible. Camille was on a high, drinks with Rick, Slack praise threads, spontaneous desk visits from execs asking her about her vision. Meanwhile, I was tasked with doing all the follow-up work. "Just tighten the color palette," she'd say. "Can you tweak the mock-ups a little more for social?" I complied, silently, thoroughly. Every change I made, I saved. Every version I backed up. She didn't even notice. One afternoon, Camille dropped a client-approved version of the deck in the company drive, labeled Final Syncor, Camille A. That was the first time I felt something new. Not pain, not confusion. Just cold, quiet purpose. She wanted a crown made of lies? Fine. I'd build a mirror. And when she stepped on stage, I'd make sure the whole damn room saw what was underneath. The silence was the worst part. Not the applause Camille got. Not the promotion rumors. Not even seeing my designs blasted across the agency's social feeds with her name attached. No, it was the way people stopped looking at me. Like they didn't want to get involved. Like they already picked a side. I tried to stay focused, keep my head down, let the work speak. But the work didn't speak. Not for me. Rick stopped asking for my input in creative stand-ups. The social team started tagging Camille on credits that should have had both our names. Even the interns, people I'd mentored, started sliding toward her orbit. And every time I opened my inbox, there it was. "Can you update Camille's deck? Camille wants this cleaned up. Add Camille's feedback." Her fingerprints, my labor. It made my stomach turn. One Wednesday, I stayed late to finish a round of concept revisions. The office had emptied out, lights dimmed to that soft, eerie hum. I was sketching over wireframes when I heard footsteps behind me. Camille. She leaned in the doorway, holding 2 cans of yerba mate. "Truce?" she said, offering one. I didn't take it. She smirked. "Still mad?" "Still lying." That wiped the smirk right off her face. She stepped inside, voice lowering. "Maya, you need to let this go. You're making it weird for everyone. Everyone who's benefiting from your bullshit." She rolled her eyes. "Look, the deck was amazing, yeah. But you freeze when the spotlight hits. You know it. You've said it. Doesn't mean I don't deserve credit." She gave a bitter laugh. "Credit doesn't matter if no one sees you. I made sure the work was seen. That's what leadership remembers." I just stared at her. "You didn't just take my work," I said. "You rewrote history." Her tone shifted, quieter, almost sincere. "I never wanted to leave you behind, Maya. But you were standing still." Then she walked out. The next morning, HR called me in. I knew the walk too well. Beige carpet, sterile air, a view of the dumpsters. Lauren, our HR rep, sat across from me with that overly smooth tone that made everything sound premeditated. "Hey Maya, thanks for coming in. Just want to talk through some of the recent friction." Friction. That's what they called it. I've had a few comments come in about team dynamics, mostly about collaboration and tone. From Camille? Lauren gave a tight smile. "We can't share that." "Of course you can't. But we want to make sure you're set up to thrive. So we'd love to offer some coaching resources, conflict navigation, communication strategies." I tuned her out. What they were really saying was, stop making noise. Be smaller. Make this easy for us. I nodded like I heard her, took the little flyer, left without saying a word. After that, I knew no one was coming to save me. So I got methodical. Every spare moment, I compiled proof, timestamps, dated project logs, early drafts with tracked changes. even audio notes from my iPad. I documented Camille's Slack messages, the casual check-ins before she asked for the deck. Her great work replies that proved she wasn't involved in building it. I started hiding encrypted folders in cloud storage. And I waited. Around that time, I ran into Sean, one of the freelancers we used for UI mockups. He cornered me in the kitchen, pouring almond milk into his coffee. "Hey," he said cautiously. "We good?" I frowned. "Why wouldn't we be?" He looked sheepish. "Camille said you were upset I tweaked your designs on that Syncor deck. Didn't want you thinking I stepped on toes." I blinked. "You didn't tweak anything. You exported what I gave you." He nodded. "Yeah, that's what I thought. Just weird energy lately, you know?" "Yeah," I said quietly. "I know." That night, I pulled open my old art portfolio. Not the digital one, the actual leather-bound book from design school. Charcoal sketches, mock magazine covers, a spread of protest posters I made during my senior year, bold block letters screaming from recycled paper. I touched the edge of a poster that read, "Silence is a choice." I sat there for a long time. Then I closed the book, stood up, and went back to my desk. I had work to do. I didn't plan to leak the deck. Not at first. It was more of a thought experiment. What would happen if the truth got out? If Camille's carefully polished lie unraveled in front of people who actually gave a damn? I didn't even know if they existed. But by week 3 of being ghosted in my own office, I stopped caring. It started with a blog. The Q, a mid-sized design industry blog run by a former agency creative named Nadia Kwan. She did exposés, anonymous posts, deep dives into creative theft, ghostwriting, and the unspoken ugliness of the ad world. I followed her on Instagram. I DM'd her once years ago when she dragged a pharma client for greenwashing. I figured, why not? I created a burner Gmail, chusterimkesh@gmail.com. Then I wrote, "Hi Nadia. I'm a senior art director at a boutique agency in Austin. A recent campaign I led was presented under someone else's name, down to the exact deck, tagline, and mock-ups. I have all the receipts. If you're open to a quiet feature that shines a light on how this industry rewards performance over integrity, I've got a story. Attached is the work. Metadata included. Asterisk. M. I hit send. Then I closed my laptop and went to bed. The blog went live 6 days later. It hit at 11:17 a.m. on a Thursday. I was eating an overripe banana at my desk when my phone lit up. Anonymous tip when your work is stolen in plain sight. The opening image. My slide. My typography. My concept. My tagline. The piece didn't name names of companies, but it walked through everything. The gaslighting. The false credit. The way women of color in particular, which I am, get erased in favor of flashier faces. This isn't just about creative theft, the post said. It's about how trust is weaponized, how friendship is used to disarm the very people you plan to step over. It was brutal. It was perfect. The agency's Slack exploded. First in the hashtag industry buzz channel. Then in hashtag general. Then Camille Demnimi. Camille. Eyes. Did you see this? Someone's coming for us, lol. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later. Camille. Wait, was this you? Still no reply. She left it there. By noon, the link had been passed to Rick. I saw him pull Camille into the stairwell for a whisper his conversation that ended with her shaking her head too fast and waving her hands like a mime under pressure. I sat at my desk the entire time, pretending to adjust the kerning on a mood board. No one asked me anything. But people looked. They looked at me in a way I hadn't seen in weeks. Not pity, not avoidance. Just curiosity. And a little fear. That night, Mel called. "You dropped it?" she asked. "No, hello." I dropped it. Holy shit, Maya. I know. And how do you feel? I looked around my apartment. It was silent except for the low whir of my air purifier and the soft hum of my fridge. Lighter, I said. Camille didn't speak to me the next day, or the one after that. She walked past my desk like I didn't exist. But I saw her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. I saw the worry in her face, the twitch in her jaw when people forwarded her the link in front of her. Still, no one confirmed it was me. And I wasn't about to break the spell. By Monday, a few junior designers had followed me on Instagram. One sent a DM that just said, "Read the piece. Thank you for saying what so many of us are afraid to." I stared at that message for a long time. For a moment, I thought I'd gotten what I wanted. She was rattled. The office was buzzing. I'd told the truth. But the following week, Camille showed up to work in a new blazer, held a brainstorm meeting I wasn't invited to, and posted a story captioned, "Haters gonna hate, winners gonna build." She wasn't done. She was doubling down. So I decided to go bigger. Havana had one major flex a year, Austin Design Week. It was a 5-day industry spectacle full of panels, keynote talks, networking mixers, and awards, with half the agency on edge trying to impress, and the other half blackout drunk by Friday. This year, we were nominated for 2 awards, both tied to Syncor, both under Camille's name. The client loved the campaign so much, they submitted it to AIGA, the National Design Association. A huge deal. We were shortlisted for Best Innovation in Visual Identity, Campaign of the Year, Startup category. The kind of accolades that put agencies on the map. The kind of awards I had once dreamed of. Now I was just the ghost in the machine that made it happen. The entire office started buzzing by Wednesday. New business cards, branded lanyards, people actually ironing their clothes for once. Camille, of course, was in her element. She was scheduled to speak on a panel about creative risk in brand identity and represent Havana's next-gen talent. A month ago, that would have been me. Now, I was the support designer, helping polish her keynote slides and resizing her bio photo. She didn't say thank you. She barely made eye contact. "You ever think about not showing up?" Mel asked me that night over FaceTime, watching me lint roll my blazer. "All the time." "So why are you going?" "Because if I stay home, she wins." Mel raised an eyebrow. "And if you go, what, you're gonna crash the stage?" I didn't smile. But I didn't say no. Design Week started strong. Packed venues, free kombucha, branding students scribbling notes like their lives depended on it. Havana had a booth set up at the Hilton downtown, clean, minimalist, and obnoxiously proud of itself. I stood in the corner like a mannequin, watching Camille float through the room like she was born in spotlight. Her voice carried over the crowd. "Oh yeah, the Syncor deck was wild, but when you're in flow, it just happens." Honestly, I barely remember putting it together. I had to bite my tongue so hard, I tasted copper. That night, I emailed Nadia again. Subject line: "Update not over yet." I told her about the AIGA shortlist, the speaking engagement. The design panel Camille was set to lead, the one about risk, process, and ownership. She wrote back within the hour. "I'll be in Austin Friday. I'll be in the room." My heart kicked like a drumline. On Thursday, Camille's panel went live-streamed. Topic: Breaking the Mold, Branding for the Future. I sat in the back row of the conference room at the Canopy Hotel, hidden in a sea of interns and agency brothers. Camille sat on stage in a tan jumpsuit and perfect winged eyeliner. She smiled wide as she spoke. When you're building a brand from scratch, you have to think like the user. Feel what they feel. Live in their skin. The irony made me want to scream. Instead, I pulled out my phone. And I hit record. After the panel, I slipped away before the cocktail hour started. I uploaded the footage, time-stamped the moments where she directly lied about her role in the Syncor deck, and dropped it into the shared Project Sunlight folder. Then I printed something. Something I'd spent 2 weeks formatting just right. A side-by-side breakdown of the original deck timeline, metadata, and Camille's submitted version, with a title across the top. The real process. I printed 40 copies. On the last page, I added a QR code linking to a Dropbox folder full of the raw design files, and a single sentence. Credit is currency. This is the receipt. The award ceremony was scheduled for Friday night. By then, everyone would be relaxed, a little tipsy, caught off guard. Effect. I slid the folder into my tote bag and zipped it shut. The match was ready. All I had to do was strike it. Friday night was warm, humid, and loud, the way Austin always is right before a thunderstorm. The AIGA Awards Gala was held in a converted warehouse with strings of Edison bulbs and exposed rafters, as if design awards needed a backdrop of curated authenticity. Music played low, wine flowed freely, and everyone wore some version of black. I wore a deep navy jumpsuit. Not to stand out. To blend in until the moment came. Camille arrived just before 7, on the arm of our VP of Strategy, laughing too hard at a joke I knew she didn't understand. Her hair was pinned up like a crown. She looked like a woman used to being seen. I stuck to the edges, watching, waiting. About halfway through the awards program, the host paused between speeches to welcome panelists from the week. Camille's name was called with a round of applause. She stood to wave. That was my cue. While everyone clapped, I moved through the rows, discreetly sliding my packets onto chairs. Row by row. Each folder stamped with a clean black label. Behind the deck, a visual timeline of credit theft in creative work. Inside my breakdown, the QR code. A cover letter anonymous but exacting in tone. This is not revenge. This is restoration. I placed the last copy on Rick's chair just as the next category was announced. Campaign of the Year, Startup Division. My stomach dropped. The presenter opened the envelope. And the winner is the Syncor launch from Havana Agency, creative direction by Camille Andrews. Applause, lights, music. Camille stood, clasping her hands to her chest in mock surprise. She took the stage in 2 perfect steps. I didn't move. I just stood in the back, arms crossed, heart drumming like it wanted out of my chest. Camille leaned into the mic. Wow, this is surreal. I have so many people to thank. She scanned the crowd, voice syrupy. Especially the team at Havana who trusted me to lead this from day one. That's when the first rustle started. A man in the 3rd row opened the folder. Then a woman behind him. Whispers spread like ink in water. Heads turned. Eyes darted. Camille faltered for half a second, barely noticeable, but I saw it. She tried to push through. The design process was about empathy, intuition, innovation. Hey, someone called from the audience, holding up a packet. Did you make these slides? Camille blinked. Excuse me? These designs, the man said. This timeline shows someone else created them weeks before the pitch. More murmurs now. The presenter leaned in, whispering something urgently. Camille's smile froze. The lights didn't dim. The music didn't play. The room held its breath. Rick stood, walked up to the stage, whispered something in Camille's ear. She nodded stiffly, turned back to the mic. I think we'll need to clarify a few things internally, she said tightly. Thank you. Then she stepped down, fast, eyes burning. I watched her scan the crowd like a predator sniffing for the source. She never saw me. Back at the agency the next morning, I arrived early. The office was dead silent. Nobody made eye contact. Camille's desk was empty, so were her drawers. By 10 a.m., an all-staff email hit. Effective immediately, Camille Andrews is no longer with Havana. We thank her for her time and contributions and wish her the best. That was it. 4 years of climbing. Gone in one folder. At 3:17 p.m., Rick asked to see me. He didn't offer coffee this time. Just looked tired. I'm gonna be honest, he said. I had no idea, and I should have. I didn't respond. You could have come to me. I did. He winced. I know. That's on me. We sat in silence for a beat too long. I'm not here to beg for credit, I finally said. I just wanted the truth to matter. He nodded slowly. Then he reached into a folder and slid across a sheet. New title, Creative Director. Effective Monday. I walked out of that office, not smiling, not victorious. Just whole again. You'd think winning would feel like fireworks. It didn't. It felt like the morning after a storm, windows rattling, air cleared out, and everything a little too quiet. Camille was gone. Her name stripped from Slack, her face removed from the website. Her final deck file reassigned M. Jordan in the system metadata. But she still haunted the building. People started treating me like I'd returned from war. No one said her name aloud. They tiptoed around me, complimented my strength, brought me weird sympathy snacks like protein cookies and stress tea. It wasn't kindness. It was distance. I got what I wanted, but it made people uncomfortable. Like I'd done something impolite by telling the truth too loudly. One afternoon, Sean from you, I popped by my desk. I just wanted to say, good on you, he muttered. I mean, not just the folder thing, all of it. I blinked. You're not weirded out? He shrugged. I've had shit stolen before. I just didn't have the guts to do what you did. He paused. Camille made me feel small. You reminded me I wasn't crazy. Then he walked off. And I sat there for a long time. Mel and I celebrated that weekend at a taco stand in East Austin. I still can't believe you actually did it, she said, clinking her Topo Chico against mine. I smiled. Neither can I. She leaned in. You gonna be okay? I don't know, I said honestly. I keep replaying it all, wondering what part of me ever thought she was my friend. Mel nodded. That part of you isn't stupid. It's just human. The following Monday, I stepped into my new office. It wasn't huge, just 4 walls, a decent window, and a door that closed. But it was mine. There was already a folder on the desk, labeled Q4 Rebrand Concepts. Beneath it, a sticky note from Rick. Take the lead. You've earned it. I stared at it for a while. Then I opened the folder and got to work. Over the next few weeks, something strange happened. People started stopping by again, not to tiptoe, but to talk. To ask questions. To bounce ideas. They weren't scared anymore. Because I wasn't either. One day, a junior designer named Ava came in, notebook clutched to her chest. Hey, I was wondering, would you look over something for me? I nodded, and she slid a deck across my desk. Smart layout, strong visual hooks. A little rough in the transitions, but solid. This is great, I said. She looked surprised. Really? Really, you should present it. Ava blinked. Wait, me? In the meeting? Yeah, it's your work. She lit up like a match. And for the first time in months, so did I. 3 months later, I got a LinkedIn message from Camille. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity wins more battles than restraint. Camille Andrews. Hey, I just wanted to say I hope you're doing well. What happened? It got out of control. I never meant to hurt you. I really didn't think it would go like that. Anyway, I'm doing some consulting now. Starting over. No hard feelings, I hope. See. Camille's message sat in my inbox like a cockroach that refused to die. No hard feelings, I hope. She wanted absolution. She wanted me to carry the shame while she walked away rebuilding. I stared at her profile. Still smiling in that headshot, still tilting her chin like the world owed her something. My stomach turned. That's when I decided exposure wasn't enough. People like Camille don't stop unless you salt the earth behind them. So I did. First, I built a dossier. Not the polite version I'd handed out at Design Week, the full archive. Every Slack receipt, every timestamp, Baya notes, my journal entries, even her manipulative DMs to freelancers, the ones where she hinted she'd smooth things over if they kept quiet. Then I wrote a case study. Not anonymous this time. Not vague. How my best friend stole my work and tried to erase me, a case study in creative theft. I broke it into chapters, each one structured like a campaign brief. Problem, Camille erasing me. Approach, her lies. Result, her downfall. And at the end, I attached every receipt. But I didn't just upload it quietly to a blog. No, I weaponized it. I sent it to AIGA's Ethics Committee, to Adweek, to Business Insider, to every professor I knew at USC, her alma mater, to design schools where she'd once guest lectured. By the end of the week, my case study wasn't just a story, it was a curriculum. Camille's website crashed first. She tried to launch her independent brand strategist platform, but the comments filled up with screenshots of my receipts. Students tagged her in TikToks calling her Credit Thief Camille. Twitter roasted her with memes. Recruiters ghosted her. Within 2 weeks, her LinkedIn headline changed from independent consultant to open to work. But I wasn't done. I reached out to the Syncor client directly. Sent them the same packet I'd sent to AGA, highlighting her lies, the manipulation, the falsified narrative she fed them. Their reply was one line. Thank you for the clarity. We won't be working with Camille again. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The final nail came at the next Design Week. I wasn't just in the audience this time. I was on stage, keynote speaker. Topic: Credit as Currency, Protecting Creative Work in the Age of Theft. Midway through, I clicked to the next slide. On the screen flashed 2 decks side by side, mine and hers. Metadata clear as daylight. The audience gasped. Everyone knew the story by then, but seeing it laid out, the theft, the timestamps, the blatant fraud, hit different. I didn't say her name. I didn't have to. Camille was the ghost in the room. A cautionary tale whispered in every row. Afterward, students lined up to talk to me. Some asked for advice. Others just wanted to say thank you. And I realized this was bigger than revenge. It wasn't just about making her pay. It was about making sure no one like her could ever pull that stunt again without someone remembering me. Camille wanted to be unforgettable, and she is. Just not for the reasons she wanted. That night, I finally replied to her message. 1 sentence. Receipts don't expire. Then I blocked her. Savage enough? No. Savage is watching someone build a castle out of stolen bricks, then burning it down and salting the ground so nothing grows there again. And that's exactly what I did. If you've ever had your work stolen, you know there's no applause loud enough to drown out that sting. But there is something louder, the truth, spoken at the right time. So if this story hit home, pass it on, share it with someone who needs that reminder. And hey, stick around, hit subscribe, and we'll keep telling the stories others would rather stay buried.